I'm the organizer for a local meetup group, which is part of the Consensus global build community. And that was newly formed just a few weeks ago when Consensus was actually on the island. So that's me. Now, my role with all of these organizations is simply to empower, inspire all of the innovators who want to create in this space. So today we're going to have a little chat with a few of the local innovators, and we're going to talk about the advantages of doing business in Bermuda, the resources and infrastructure that is available for local startups, and also we're going to just talk to them about what they believe their key to success is. So we're going to start with Alexander Marshall, and he is from Team Bermudachain.
How you doing today? Can you hear me? All right, cool. Yeah, so Bermudachain, what we're looking to do is we're going to be doing Bermuda's first incubator and accelerator here, because right now one of the problems we have is we put ourselves as the leader right now in the marketplace for this. We're ahead of everyone else. We're ahead of Malta, all the other people in different jurisdictions, because we have this regulation now. Part of the problem is, though, that if we don't get the banking solution and we don't get people here starting up doing startups in Bermuda, that they will look to different economies and where they can go. So we are actually, the government it was looking to do for probably now March or June of next year to do their incubator here. So we're trying to get a jump on ahead of that to show it's not all talk right now, there is action, there are things incubating in the space. So we're looking to bring in 12 different startups from Singapore and London and in Asia, and they're going to come over here and we're going to help them get set up with doing their incorporation and then following up with doing their DABA as a value add. So that's really the whole.
We're also going to include a few Bermuda startups as well.
We're going to aid Bermuda as well in this as well, but the whole spectrum of it is to provide jobs, to provide education, training support. We're also looking to take the victualling yard area in Dockyard and change that into like an innovation campus so that we can have people come down here, study, learn about blockchain, learn about coding in the long run. So really we want to make Bermuda not only all the talk we've done, we actually want to turn this into the next tech hub. So we've, one of our partners as well, we have through Bermudachain is Core.live. That's one of the clients of some of our other partners in the group. And what they're going to look to do is they're looking to make this AI island. So they're looking to bring the Core.live supercomputer down here and to do distribution from Bermuda. So this will be actually a Bermuda export product. So we're looking to go from 0 export product currently to their foreseeing to do 100 million in the next 5 years. And we're going to be using distribution models to offer a similar kind of service that Amazon Prime would give you to actually be able to provide people that buy the Core.live system. So it's a mini supercomputer, it's the most powerful supercomputer in the world, and it does things like AI mining, which is like the new breakthrough in mining capability, because if you look at traditional mining, it has the massive energy draws that are a massive problem currently. With AI mining, it's doing those calculations and algorithms predictively, and it's not doing the same power drain. So that we see is one of the things that's going to really next take off. So by producing that out of Bermuda and giving that as a product that we're exporting, and we'll actually, the way we're looking to distribute it and offer it within a 48-hour turnaround service, so we're going to piggyback on the backs of the outgoing flight services that go out. So we go to about 8 different major hubs right now from Bermuda, whether it's Atlanta, Miami, New York. So if someone ordered tonight and they're like, I want to have one of the core supercomputers come out here, the next day we would piggyback it, put on the Delta flight, the American flight, because we're never full going out of this island, so they have that extra weight that they can carry on there. These things are the size of 2 of these bottles of water, so they will actually be able to ship. You'll have a reciprocating courier service there that will be able to get people within that hub city within 24 hours to 48 hours. You'll have the system. So that's a new service, just an example of one of the different companies we're going to be working with and incubating future tech stuff with from the island. So yeah, it's exciting. So Bermudachain is looking to take ideas and take different people and startups and push them forward, so make it reality.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we're going to talk to. Next, we're going to talk to. Yeah, that happened. Yeah, that happened. Exactly. It's been 2 months. So next, we're going to talk to Mr. John Narroway from AIRIS.
Hi, I'm John. I'm a bit of a troublemaker. Some of you know me. Sorry, I have to get. Sorry, I had to get my dig in. So when it comes to moonshots, I've spent probably most of my professional entrepreneurial career being way ahead of the curve, and it usually has disastrous results as you run out of capital before people realize they need the technology, including the internet for me. But one of the things that I saw, and interestingly, I owe it to Stan and Hub Culture for where I've gotten to with this. Ari Chatterjee's in the room somewhere. So Ari and I were sitting down at Hub Culture last year on the beach, having some beautiful rosé, and like, what would you really like to be working on? And he started talking about AI and insurance, and he goes, well, what about you? And I'm like, I'm really interested in flying cars. And he's like, well, that sounds really crazy, but, and I said, no, it's actually going to be real because I'm reading all this documentation, and Uber is working on this. And if Uber's working on it, the chances of success is probably quite high. And he goes, well, you should be doing that because clearly you're really excited about it. I said, yeah, you should be doing the AI stuff because clearly you're really excited by it. And 1 year later, we're both actually working on it, kind of left our traditional careers, and kind of diving into that new scene. So flying cars, is it going to be real? Yes, it's happening. They're not actually flying cars. They're not going to drive on roads, but it is the next generation of urban transport that is the next generation of helicopters. So imagine you land at JFK Airport, instead of hopping into an Uber from the airport and getting stuck in traffic for 45 minutes to 2 hours or 3 hours, you actually just hop into this, essentially what's like an Uber air taxi, and it will take you and drop you into Midtown in about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. It's happening. 2025 is when Uber is hoping to launch in 3 cities. Here's the challenge. They're talking about having over 150 aircraft per city. There's no aircraft manufacturers out there that even have the technology to do this today. And no aircraft manufacturers can produce enough aircraft to meet the demand. So suddenly all the entrepreneurs in the world who have an interest in aviation and aerospace, we all kind of said, this is probably a really good time to get into this. So it's a long program. You know, it's 7 years away. We're very careful. We haven't taken on any excessive amounts of capital because we know once you take on capital, the clock is ticking. But we know that there's a lot of challenges. We know that there's things like battery technology that has to be solved for. We know that there's some noise issues. Noise is going to be a #1 issue that we have to solve. The technology isn't even there yet, or on the blade technology, to do this in a quiet fashion. So that's going to be a challenge to overcome. So we're kind of taking this step back and going, well, we're not going to solve for blade technology. We're not going to solve for battery technology. We just don't have the capital. But we can do some really amazing design, and we're taking a very user experience side approach to it as opposed to the trying to oversize a drone. So what do we do in the meantime? And I'm like, well, I kind of know something about blockchain, apparently. So what if we actually created the blockchain smart contract layer for this entire network? So as they're going out and launching in all these cities, think about it, 150 aircraft moving around with 4 or 5 people in it, landing on rooftops. There's a lot of infrastructure that has to be built to make that happen. Luckily, the FAA and NASA are working on the flight, if you will, the runway or the raceways that everything's going to run on, but every flight is going to have to be recorded. There's people that have to be paid. There's going to be manifest lists. There's going to be passenger lists. There has to be an ID layer. So I started thinking about this, and this is like the perfect application for smart contracts. So starting on Monday, I'm flying up to Toronto and starting into an accelerator up there and working on the blockchain aspect of this. So we'll see where we end up in 14 weeks. So stay tuned. Thank you.
Very exciting stuff. Next, we're going to hear from Ms. Alison Swan, and she's going to be talking about Winnow.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to piggyback on what John said. You know, Hub Culture came in here last summer and lit a spark that really set off a chain reaction of what are the possibilities in the tech and space in Bermuda. And I look at where we were last summer and where we are now. Thank you, Stan, for lighting that spark, because, you know, I just see so much has happened in that space for Bermuda in that time, and you were the one that kind of sort of lit that for us. So I founded Winnow with my partner, William West, about...
Not me.
although
Relation.
he set us up.
I did. Yes.
Because we're also really good friends. Actually Tripp sort of said, you know, you and William really think very much the same way. And Winnow was sort of like an answer to a problem, which is, how do you access a destination like everybody is a house guest? Because the experience that you have coming off a plane, being somebody's house guest, is very different if you come off the plane and you don't know anybody. And how can you have that instant insider knowledge into a destination, and out of that, was born Winnow, which is basically a travel solution e-commerce platform in the form of an app. We baited in 2017, starting in August, sort of came fully into the market this summer, and had a good summer, a lot of learnings, a lot of feels like near-death experiences, but we made it out alive, and we are going to our next destination, which is Aspen. So it presents a really interesting possibility for Bermuda, which is that you can start a local company and grow it into a global company from this island. And there are so many advantages to doing that. So we operate in Bermuda as a Bermuda-based company. We have providers in the United States, and we have no taxable presence in the United States because we're a Bermuda-based company and we don't have any taxable presence in the United States, nor we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. So there are a lot of advantages to setting up a domicile in Bermuda, which is great, which we have found out, and there are many more, which the government is taking great aim at. So we're really proud to be a Bermuda-based company that hopefully will soon be a global company.
Thank you, Alison. All right, now we're going to hear from Mr. Tripp West, and he's going to talk about Tripp Match.
Yes. Well, my name is Tripp. I'm the founder of Tripp Match, and also just want to thank Hub Culture, Lisa and Stan, for an outstanding 2 days so far. Met a bunch of fantastic people and have learned a lot. Myself and my team are creating the next generation travel community, and it's based on a match. So based on your preferences, and we match you to destinations, experiences, and other travelers like you. Nothing on the internet right now. This is the problem that essentially inspires you to go somewhere. Everything is an OTA. They're selling you a product. They want to get you on their planes, on their ships, in their hotels, and nothing is sort of asking you as the traveler what you're interested in. So I came up with this concept, and we've been working with developers in South Africa and then also in Argentina. The one in Argentina is about to launch the next generation, the second version, rather, of our product. And I was with my business partner last week in Malta, where we were meeting with blockchain architects and developers to figure out a way or to create a roadmap of how we will integrate a digital asset into our platform. So we realize that we're competing with a lot of social networks, Facebook, Instagram, etc., which dominate the travel space or dominate many spaces. And what we're doing is we wanted to come up with an idea, sort of an incentive or something that would complement and help grow our community, because the whole point is to get as much user feedback and data as possible, which is going to grow the community and make it more relevant to the user. So the way that it would work is that the users would contribute and engage with the community. They earn tokens, and those tokens can be used to make purchases in the Tripp Match store for travel products. So we're trying to figure out or close the loop on the user, making this as much about the user as possible. That's always been my focus. And what we want to do is try and avoid the user to actually starting with fiat. So they're actually earning our token. They are making they're engaging with the community to earn it. The reactions from the community allow them to earn more, so some will be better than others. And then they can actually buy travel product. I think with our providers or our suppliers, they might look at that as, okay, this is fantastic because it's guaranteed that our advertising investment works, because we know that they want to come to our hotel or go on our cruise ship, come to be on holiday. We all know that we love free stuff, and we probably spend more once we get there. So this is sort of the play that we're working on with our advertising partners. Like I said, the product's going to be launched, hopefully. It's like building a house, and I am an architect as well, so that's my other job, and so I understand the pain and suffering my clients go through and the insecurities. So building a website is very similar. In the meantime, we're almost at 70, a community of 70,000 with our social media, which we were a few hundred in January of this year. So we've really focused on brand awareness, doing a lot of competitions, giving away a lot of cool stuff. But in return, we've gotten amazing feedback from our followers and a lot of user-generated content. Photos, videos, they tag us, they love us. It's fantastic. So we just want to keep, giving them a little bit more and keep the momentum going. So thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent. Thank you, Tripp. Now we're going to hear from FinTech Advisor and Tech Innovator at MoCaFi, Dr. Christina Storey.
Hello, and thank you also, Stan, for inviting me. I got in last night from New York, so I missed yesterday, but it sounds like it was an excellent time. A little bit like John, I'd say a year ago, I was sort of coming into the Bitcoin, blockchain, distributed ledger, whatever flavor title you want to give it, depending on which team you're playing for. And one of the most compelling cases that's made for digital assets is its ability to reach the unbanked. It's something that we hear a lot about in the space. And so a year later, I find myself now Chief Innovation Officer for what is a traditional fintech operation based in New York, which is doing precisely that. We are a mobile community banking solution for the underbanked and the unbanked. And we have a framework which is geared around working within regulatory frameworks and finding the spaces within those to bring solutions to people who previously are either subject to services that have ridiculously high fees or simply can't access those services. So our mantra is to spend smart, to build credit, and to live wealthy. I mean, I'm sort of an example of how you can have a team that is spread geographically. Our CEO and 3 of our members are based in New York and New Jersey. One of our people is in San Francisco and the other is in Mississippi. So for a Bermudian here on the island, it is even more possible now to engage with, really sophisticated international entities without having to expatriate. But I also think it gives a window onto one of the realities for startups in Bermuda, which is that you really do need to be thinking about recruiting resources that are overseas that are not going to come and move here. So the ways in which we find to generate jobs in Bermuda, I think has to take account of this feature, remote working. And I also think that the integration of digital assets, Bitcoin, in the traditional fintech world, where we have to operate with an eye to the New York regulations, is coming sooner than you think. I think the banking solutions are going to be a version of reimagined banking. And I also think that it's something that does have an ideological framework, so Bermuda must not pretend that that's not the case. But apropos to Sir John's point, we're operating with technology that really allows for trustless relationships, where it doesn't matter what color you are or what clothes you're wearing, right? It really matters whether or not you can deliver. But what's interesting, I also work with an OTC, again, regulated in London. I'm a partner in that operation. And one of the things that we find is that we are reimagining the core analog realities of banking. At the end of the day, this stuff actually does come down to individual human-to-human interaction and the currency of trust. And I think it's fair to say that pretty much any fintech product, any insurtech, any digital asset project is operating with some awareness that we are living post-financial crisis. And so consequently, we have, to whatever extent, systemic or individual, an awareness that the banking as we currently live with is broken. But that it's not to burn down the banks, not even to go build an entirely different bank, but to reimagine those functions. The last thing I will say is that being placed in Bermuda is working really well for our company, because my innovative sort of angles are both from a really kind of crypto angle, right? How do we enable people's individual data, whether it's on a KYC or an AML or it's our metadata, how do we enable our users to get paid for simply existing? How do we make sure that the metadata that is used by other entities and corporations and business models flows in some part to us and gives us some control over whether we want our metadata used by Facebook? And if so, thank you very much, I'll take a cut. And the other piece is that lending is a really big issue for people who don't have a bank account or don't have assets. And so you'll see, whether it's SoFi or a lot of other entities, it's all about how do we get debt to the people. Well, apart from regulatory issues around payday loans and the predatory nature, a lot of that architecture, I swim in an insurance and reinsurance space. So it occurred to me that instead of trying to get the disadvantaged into debt first, we might want to try and get them into an asset first. So in the context of MoCaFi being able as a trust to own life insurance policies for people who would otherwise not be able to access those, for premiums that are very small, and be able to mobilize social capital investment to loan against those in ways that, for example, those of you who know about insurance, you could loan against the cash value of a universal before it had actually accrued. You set up the kinds of scenarios that a lot of the crypto projects are trying to talk about: cooperative banking, mutual capitalistic, activity. So if you take a loan against yourself, which under a trust is a conferred economic advantage, you're effectively paying yourself back. So that's what I'd like to see in Bermuda. I'd like to think that we could think a lot more about how we take this individualism and reinvent a kind of mutualism, right? Where it's not capitalism that's the problem, but it is this kind of very unequal flow of who benefits and what does it actually mean to be a stakeholder, a user, a network participant. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much. That was a lot to digest.
Sorry, yeah.
But relevant
But
nonetheless.
nice to meet
yes,
you all. I've
definitely.
been out in a cave in Somerset, and I'm really glad I came out to say hello to the
I want to
community
say
here.
thank you to all of our local innovators. Keep up the good work, guys. I love hearing the updates about all of your different organizations and the wonderful things that you're doing. So we're going to say thank you again and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.